tonight. I now declare the meeting open at 5 p.m. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we live, work and play. We pay our respects to Darkinjung country and elders past and present. We recognise the continued connection to the lands and waterways and extend this acknowledgement to the homelands and stories of those who also call this place home. We recognise our future leaders and the shared responsibility to care for and protect our place and people. 5 o'clock. I remind councillors and all those present that your image and material may be broadcast live to the public, so please be mindful of your actions and your comments. You should avoid making statements that might defame or offend, and note that a recording of this meeting will be retained online in the archive. Please turn your mobile phones off or switch them to silent. Filming and photography are not permitted in the meeting. Anyone observed to be filming the meeting may be asked to leave. We've got any apologies tonight? I don't have any, so nil apologies for tonight. And disclosures of interest. I now ask committee members to disclose any conflict of interest they may have with items on tonight's agenda. Firstly, myself, I confirm that I have nil. Councillor Smith.
Nothing to declare, Chair.
Mayor's not here. Deputy Mayor Moreland.
No conflicts, Mr. Chair.
Councillor McGregor.
No known conflicts.
Councillor McQuaid.
No conflicts.
Councillor Neal.
No conflict declared, Chair.
Thank you all. Confirmation of minutes. I now call for a mover for the recommendation as the motion. Moved, Councillor Deputy Mayor Moreland, seconded by Councillor McQuaid. Any discussion? Now put the motion. All those voting in favour of the motion, please raise your hand and keep it raised.
A minute.
Unanimous, thank you. Items resolved by exception. I call out the names of the items. Please advise if you wish to star an item discussed tonight. Items that are not starred to be discussed will be resolved en masse, meaning the meeting. The committee is resolving those recommendations contained within the reports. Do I have a motion? Recommendation. Councillor Deputy Mayor, I've got to get it right. Deputy Mayor Moreland, second.
Sorry,
Is the motion
what's the motion?
exception or to do?
Associate the motion.
Well, there's only 4 items on the agenda, so go through.
It's in the wrong place, but going through them, does everyone want to go through every one of them?
Yes,
Why not? Why not? Why not? Okay, nil by exception. Okay, over to a guest presentation by Freshwater Strategy. I now call Mitchell Parker-Wilkin and Nicholas Nagarotto from Freshwater Strategy to come to the lectern. And Alex Sanchez as well. The 3 of you tonight. Up.
Would you like us at the front?
At the front.
lectern.
Oh, the lectern. Okay. Yeah.
The microphones are actually in the ceiling as well.
Oh, right. Okay.
Thank you very much for all your time. Appreciate time is precious, so thank you very much for all attending. Freshwater is here under the auspices of the Central Coast Leadership Forum, which was established about 14 months ago as an independent policy and think tank for the Central Coast region. It is nakedly and unashamedly about the Central Coast. It has a very Central Coast focus in all things that it does. It was established by its benefactor, Singleton, I'm sure some of you know, but with the purpose of being an independent think tank that could democratise by committee some policy that would advance the Central Coast economically and socially. So this was established 14 months ago. It has a constitution, it has governance, it has a board of directors who you'll see in the presentation that's before you. And since that time, from establishing the Central Coast Leadership Forum about 10 months ago, it was decided by the board of directors to assemble a cohesive document that would aggregate a lot of the good ideas that were currently out there through different policy documentation, doctored and authored by different organisations and different government bodies, and through a lengthy stakeholder policy refinement process, would take all of that and put it into one central document. These ideas would support council, state government, federal government around advancing some of these policy instruments that both the community, the business community, and certain morsels of government thought would be to the ultimate benefit of the Central Coast. So in part, it's a bit of an aggregation exercise. You'll see as you go through some of the policy recommendations that some are in train. In part, we're not here to reinvent the wheel or tell you fine folks things that you otherwise wouldn't know. It's just basically a document which puts it into one consolidated form and has gone through a lengthy refinement process, both through community consultation, industry consultation, government consultation, to get to a very descriptive list that it was thought, if implemented, would benefit the coast and its community. So I won't go on too long, but that's just, I suppose, a bit of an important context to frame the discussion. I'll just invite Alex Sanchez. So Alex obviously has a lengthy career in politics and policy in academia. Alex was instrumental, as was a couple of the other directors of Freshwater, in the Shaping Future Cities document, which was the guiding book that I suppose to some part got Parramatta to where it was today. So a lot of learnings were taken from that experience with Alex and Jonathan and others in terms of the composition of the blueprint for the Central Coast. So I'll let Alex go through the methodology in terms of how we've arrived where we are, and then we can speak more specifically to some of those questions.
Alex, before we start, do you want questions during presentation?
I'm in your hands.
Okay.
Chair, in your hands.
Great.
Thanks everyone. Good evening, everyone. We just grab to the next slide. So this is the board. I won't go into much detail, but suffice to say the board cuts across the private sector and community sector as well. So you'll see some familiar names. The important thing to understand about the this blueprint and board is that the focus of this exercise is very much private sector driven. Whilst recognising there's been considerable amount of investment, public sector investment into the Central Coast, there was a clear and conscious decision to ensure that going forward it would be the private sector that led economic development, and that the public sector resourcing and public sector assets that have gone in over the last couple of years are leveraged as opposed to become the defining model of economic development for the region. And I think that's important, for it, if you like, de-risks if and when governments fail to provide as they would have historically. If I can grab the next slide, please. Just by way of process, Nick sort of went through this exercise, and I think it's important in one big respect. Much of what we've done is familiar as a process and be familiar to you as you went through your economic development strategy making process, where there's an exercise in consulting organisations that have played a large role in the development of the coast, whether they be large firms, small firms, community organisation, not-for-profits, etc., and obviously the education sector. There was obviously the exercise where you do a bit of data analysis and review the material that's out there in the economic data, the social data, etc. But where this exercise is slightly different to mainstream approaches, certainly different to what we did in Western Sydney, is there was some targeted community research undertaken as well, where once a set of recommendations were, if you like, in draft form or hypotheses, they were tested within the community with targeted community research to see whether or not they are acceptable in terms of change. That has two benefits. One is it clearly means that any recommendations, the policy recommendations here are, how would I say, de-risked in the sense that communities can be comfortable with some of the approaches, but it also put the onus back on us to ensure that any recommendations that were made were understood and not so far out of step with the community that they became meaningless to implement. So in effect, all the recommendations here are very, very implementable. And then ultimately we go and do the final proposals and insights. So I'm sorry, I don't have a button here to go through that, so beg your pardon. There are 28 recommendations, but they are grouped in 5 strategic missions, if you like, 5 big licks of effort that we feel can make meaningful change and meaningful economic reform for the region. These are all, they're somewhat interrelated in many ways, but they can also stand alone. So the first one is supporting urban renewal and activation. That is not for its own sake. This is not supporting this sort of exercise for its own sake, but it's supporting it for the purposes of attracting a diverse range of housing mixes. It's there to attract skilled labour. It's there to make the region more dynamic, and by that I mean encouraging youthfulness and encouraging enterprise. It's well known that precincts and areas that are dynamic also tend to attract further dynamism. It's not standalone. There are substantial spillover effects arising from that, and that's the purpose of that urban renewal and activation. And clearly we have some very strong references, where I'll get to in a moment, around the Gosford area and the waterfront. The second thing is improving housing and infrastructure. Again, that comes out of a very, very strong message that the supply of housing and housing affordability are top of mind for most community members, and also that there are, as the Central Coast has above average median age, more diverse forms of housing will be needed as that cohort ages. But also, if you are to attract the dynamism that I referred to, you need diverse forms of housing. So the idea of having a mission based around improving the housing mix was important. The third one was regulatory reform and local capacity building. We heard a lot around basically regulatory gridlock and performance, and there are some recommendations there to try and ease pressures in that area. The fourth one is strengthening local industry and tourism. The region is very, very fortunate to have some large manufacturers, some large cities in place. It also is blessed with a natural environment, and those missions and those recommendations are associated with those 2 key strengths. And the last one, speaks to the investments taking place in higher education and the potential to encourage other providers beyond the existing provider mix on the Central Coast to add to that even further. But just whipping through them because I know you're short of time. Oh, just before I step to the next thing, we also have been given, and I'm happy to speak to them if you so wish. We called out the recommendations attached to your jurisdiction, if you like, Central Coast Council, and we've isolated them in this guide and basically tried to produce a very simple implementation guide as to how you would, if you're of a mind to go forward on some of the recommendations that I'm about to speak. So that's a simple guide, and by all means, check that out. So urban renewal and activation. This is where the research was very, very interesting. No need to dwell too much on it. It's pretty common sense that over 70% of Central Coast residents support Gosford as the region's future CBD, and around 80% support the idea of a high-speed rail link. Now, both those are not extremely related in the sense that first time Gosford could potentially be on a national rail link, and that is something not to be dismissed at all. So the key projects that we talk about in here is getting a whole of community purpose behind an integrated renewal plan. We have a recommendation in there that the council should approach the federal government for funding under their urban, what's it called, urban something or other grants program. Other councils have done that, and the idea being that that could be the process and the engagement necessary to bring a whole community approach to an integrated renewal plan for that region for Gosford and the waterfront. Having done the Western Sydney one, can I say that Gosford CBD waterfront, I think, is comparable to the efforts that have been taking place in Western Sydney, whether that be the Homebush Bay renewal, whether that be the Parramatta renewal, or indeed whether that be the Bradfield Western Sydney Airport renewal. That's the scope that's available. And one of the things that we do say in that is that while the Central Coast Highway presents a challenge, by using the resources of the federal government, you can actually find a way through that if you're of a mind to do so. We also have some recommendations about how to expedite some of the other urban growth precincts. Turning to the next one, improving housing and infrastructure. As I said, the research there was quite clear. Housing affordability was the single worst aspect we identified, and we have several recommendations there, including aligning existing flood management, consideration of strategic land study for the rehabilitation precincts. Suffice to say that is somewhat, some stakeholders have a different view about that. Finalise the conservation plan, which you'd be familiar with as well. But at the end of the day, the mission is to upsize the housing mix.
Yeah, just a question, Alex. I was at the launch. I was representing the mayor. A number of people spoke to me about point number one there, about the National Housing Infrastructure Facility funding, saying it's just a matter of putting an application in. Can you provide just quickly a little bit more detail about that?
Well, Housing Australia have a facility which is a grants-based facility that allows developers or proponents that can demonstrate, and I'm not saying it's an easy exercise, but demonstrate if there is a piece of infrastructure that leads to additionality and actually triggers housing development, and that is the material thing that is blocking that supply, then they will consider resourcing that. Whether So at the end of the day, it becomes a matter of scheme design for something like that and working out how to share the costs of something like that, or alternatively, how to time it in such a way that apply. But it's quite clear that the program is designed to unlock supply where there's a complete piece of infrastructure for whatever reason isn't being supplied by the market, and that would trigger additional. So whether that additional is 0 today and then 50 tomorrow or whatever, or 50 and then a new piece of infrastructure generates 100, it's the additionality that matters.
And that'd be a council led.
Yes, because that's the process. Yeah.
Well, you got 10 minutes for 3 items, sir.
Yeah, I got it. I'm hopping through. Item, and then next one, please, regulatory reform and local capacity building. Again, the research and stakeholders said to us on many occasions that there was a lack of unified purpose on the Central Coast, and that contrasted sharply with what they could see visibly in other parts of Sydney, such as Parramatta and Western Sydney and the like. And there was a need to try and get that single purpose across as many interest groups and as many parties as possibly can. We looked at this concept that is not unique, but where the mayor is elected by popular vote. We found that 71% Central Coast residents supported that concept, but that was not the only regulatory reform that's been considered. The two other ones that haven't been given as much attention were the idea that a major projects unit be established in the council, and that be used as basically for the leadership and the singularity of purpose given to transformational projects such as a CBT redevelopment would be, and also that to ease some regulatory blockages, that there be unsolicited proposal type arrangement of, obviously with due diligence and probity and the like, but that framework be developed. And again, that is not unique, whether it be unique to local government or state government. We also made some suggestions here around the potential to look at ex officio business partners and education reps onto this very one committee in order to have an ongoing relationship.
Sorry, to ask a question. What do you see as the benefit of having a popularly elected mayor? Because local government sector is quite divided on that. So what do you see as that benefit?
The benefit is basically the single purpose, the idea that there is one figurehead, one policy viewpoint, one world view that can drive the council. Now, I recognise that it's not, this thing doesn't happen everywhere. It happens for some very large councils, but that's the driving force.
Okay, but they're one amongst 15 votes, so well, only one vote in the room. But I understand the figurehead aspect. Yeah, that's
yeah. So the argument being that you are likely to have a unity of purpose better tested amongst the general population.
right. Okay, thank you.
Just a quick question. That's if you Chair. You mentioned here, and you've had other figures as well on sort of your other slides. 71% of Central Coast residents would support adopting a system, etc. Can you tell me at all how you judge that 71%, or what sort of research was done to be able to say completely uncategorically that 71% of Central Coast residents, for example, would support adopting this particular system, or on your other slide you had sort of other percentage about thinking? I'd be interested to know.
I can talk about the research. It was very orthodox.
Yeah.
Community research, the online poll of 1,500 people,
Right.
population weighted, aged weighted, and the like. So
Yeah.
basically pure social research
Yeah.
techniques with a set of questions, and they were able to elect.
Is that research available to any?
We haven't considered that. We haven't released that research publicly, no. But I'm open, I'm open to, I mean, it's a matter for the, that, not the Central Coast Leadership Forum Board,
Right.
they were the one who commissioned the research.
Okay.
So it's theirs to consider what to do.
And who did the research, can I ask?
Freshwater,
Okay.
Councillor Neil.
orthodox social research.
Thanks.
Pleasure to see you again, Alex.
Hello, Councillor Neil.
One of the proposals, of course, is the redevelopment of the Gossip waterfront, which I'm wildly in favour of, and I would suspect that everyone in the council is. Had a very spotted history, and hasn't really been terribly successful. There've been several proposals to revitalise it. I completely agree with you, the view of the recommendations that if it's, as I think it is, that the removal of the highway, the Dane Drive through that area is a big problem. I certainly could be assisted if there is being Freshwater has had experience in terms of revitalising Parramatta and other areas to say how, because so far it hasn't happened. It's likely it hasn't been soon.
Sorry,
The revitalisation
of Gosford or Parramatta?
Gosford.
I think, but
with your experience in that area.
yeah. My experience is when something starts, as you just mentioned, so you've had various iterations, various proposals, and they start. That can be a problem because automatically people don't have the confidence in anything and they look back. The issue, what worked at Parramatta is that everyone got behind Parramatta in a single way. The local authority got behind Parramatta, government got behind Parramatta, the Commonwealth got behind Parramatta, business got behind Parramatta. It was one of those things that it was bleeding obvious that there was a clear single purpose to it. Now, the recommendation we have in there is to undertake that sort of exercise where the process becomes the way of driving that collective purpose. So you have in here a recommendation that says the council apply to the Commonwealth to get a bucket of money to help you do a master plan, and as part of that master planning exercise, we bring people in to take ownership at the final end of it. And there's a recommendation in there that process include a project control group, which would include representatives from business, the state government, authority, etc., etc. So at the end of the day, it becomes an exercise in unity building. And that's what made Parramatta singularly successful.
Want to go, mate?
Okay, and we go to the next slide, please. I'll whip through it. Local tourism. We have several recommendations on local tourism and industry. Warner Vale Airport, in recognition that there's been a lot of work done on Warner Vale Airport and there's a turnaround approach on Warner Vale. And so our recommendation there is essentially keep doing what you're doing and make it that strategic aviation investment location. We make some recommendations around a major event attraction fund in recognition that some promoters, some events need support just to come, and that could be that could be worked through between the local authority and the state government on some funding sharing basis. And I think the Matildas on the weekend, I couldn't get up there for family reasons, but I saw it on the telly and it looked pretty flash. So that's the sort of thing that we're looking off. and also some recommendations around that urban renewal activation, basically around the nighttime economy. Again, if you want to make the place dynamic, if you want the place to attract the high skilled labour, if you want young people to stay, these are the sorts of things that are important. And on the last minute comes the last slide. Education. We have several recommendations around key worker and student housing, particularly around the CBD, but also trying to engender a bit more competitive spirit into higher education into the region by looking at whether or not there's potential for other providers beyond the University of Newcastle and others, including potentially international providers who might want to consider coming to the Central Coast and making use of the region and what it had in natural facilities and the like. And I'm sure there are plenty of international providers that might want to kick a tyre there. So that's it. I'm happy to take questions.
I'll just give you a comment that when the Chancellor of Newcastle seen that, she decided that, or she voiced that that was not a good action for her. What's that? Competition.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Monopolist.
Might be a vested interest in her comment.
My economics training tells me monopolists don't tend to like competition, but that's that you know.
And what's next steps? I think you said there's 16 or so recommendations, no, just as council.
Yep.
Are you going to be regularly talking with council staff about where we're up to? Because you went through a lot of things there that we're progressing already.
Sure. Of course, like I said, we put this implementation guide alongside this report. We'll be monitoring these things. I mean, no one's suggesting we have all the answers. We're looking at directions as well. And over time, we'll be looking at that sort of performance, if you like. My sort of like own view about that is that the CBD and the front, some of the regulatory things that we propose around the major projects unit, some of the stuff that we propose around the major events fund are imminently doable in the next 12 months. And so we'll be watching closely that and also helping staff and others if they want to engage with us about how to give effect to those recommendations.
Thanks, Alex. Well, there. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
We've got a recommendation in front of us. A mover of the recommendation that the committee receives the notes, the report. Councillor McLeod, seconded by the Mayor. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Have a lovely meeting. Merry Christmas all.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Item 2.2, Gosford Special Entertainment Precinct. I invite Melanie Smith, Director of Community and Recreation Services, to speak to the report.
Thank you, councillors. This is a report to present to the committee the process for the application for a special entertainment set of the CBD, and also to talk through the process of what that looks like. So I'll take the report as read and happy to answer any questions.
Councillor Smith.
Thank you. So I'm very supportive in principle. So absolutely support the initiative, and I'm quite encouraged by the process, that there's a trial and committee and I guess a couple of, notwithstanding 5 minutes ago, I am just wondering about the boundaries of the entertainment precinct. So I'll just say my sort of thoughts, and then maybe is just whether that boundary should at this stage go right down to the waterfront. Not saying that the waterfront should not be a part of it, but I just think there's such an opportunity here to really focus effort that it would seem to me a key part of these precincts are the transport hubs, and they're further uptown. And so even why doesn't the boundary go further up north as well? So my question is that there was reference to a buffer. So what's the difference between the buffer and the precinct? I couldn't quite see that at all. Anyway,
Just one sort of blob. There's no buffer in.
no, there was some reference to a
Well,
buffer.
there might be, but
Yeah.
not in the-
Because that's what I'm thinking. I don't want to disadvantage the operators down at the waterfront by any means, but I just think if this is going to have a lot of resources and effort put into it, I wouldn't say easy, but it would be more opportunity to really focus on that CBD strip. And I know there's the strip group as well, but really focus from sort of up around the train station down to that sort of really urbanised area. And I just think there's more opportunity, especially with our young people out there and all of that, to really activate that area rather than put a whole lot of effort in activating the waterfront when we know that's still got question marks over it. And I don't think it's confidential, but I thought the CEO at one point said the state government wasn't supporting a whole lot of development down on the waterfront at this point. So it just seems to me that it's a bit premature to try and say that's where we want to focus effort.
So just for clarification, so for the first question about the buffer,
Yeah.
there's two areas. So there's the core and the buffer, and
Yeah.
they have different acoustic levels.
Right.
So your core has higher acoustic levels and
Yeah.
your buffer has lower
Yeah.
acoustic levels. So you need to have a buffer around that. So
the buffer is just about the acoustic.
correct.
Right.
So it's the acoustic levels around it. You need to be able to taper off, if you like.
Yeah.
Is that contained within the plan that's attached to the report? So is the buffer in that sort of area, or is it outside?
Believe so, but I'm happy to come back to clarify that for you. In regards to the area that's been identified, the reason why we selected so the waterfront was selected to capture potential events that might be held in large scale events, and also to take into consideration the stadium area.
Well, I'd still support that being included, but I just see the waterfront itself isn't really going to house those big events, and it's still up in the air in terms of what's going to happen there.
But if we get to get the SEP now,
Yeah.
we have a certain time frame on the SEP, so we're better to go for the larger area now. Say the SEP lasts for 10 years or whatever, that then gives opportunity for any redevelopment or any scale events down there. In regards to cutting off at the station, defining at the station area, just past there, there's a number of social service organisations, and they service marginalised and at-risk people. Within, so to get the special entertainment SEP, they need to be excluded from that precinct because you don't want to place them more at risk. So, for example, if you had a youth centre right in the centre of that area, we would unlikely be eligible for a special entertainment SEP.
Okay.
And the reason why we've broadened it is to capture Kibble Park, because the aim is in the next few years to activate that and have entertainment, all sorts of activations in the park to bring that back to life. Sorry, I'm just trying to have a look at the area again. And coming down Man Street, so going right past South End Central, the new towers, so the urban towers, I want to say, towers that are opening, and all of that entertainment precinct underneath there. Coming down to the waterfront, taking in, just about to call it Iguana Joe's again. Drifters Wharf and the stadium.
Yeah.
So that's why it's such a large area.
No, that's all right. I guess I would hope that we were just focusing our effort on that sort of strip that be, I think, easier to activate than the Gosford waterfront at this point in time.
Getting the SIP doesn't mean that we have to activate it. It just
No. Can I also just ask two more quick questions? Just one of the things I was talking to the director for is because we are hoping that it becomes a really busy, active centre. There are some really good initiatives about harm minimisation in those entertainment precincts. So I'd really like us to make sure that we factor that into that. And there's lots of elements to that. And I've forgotten my second point, so I'll come back to it.
that was the sober room that you were talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah, for want of a better word, but yeah.
Councillor Smith, were you saying exclude the waterfront or include further south?
No, I wasn't saying
Or change
further south. I was saying focus further up from the waterfront, but I'm happy to be included in the scope. I was going more up the other end past the railway station. And I think the director's response is fair enough in that regard.
I was just thinking the southern end of that near the waterfront. Already we have events yearly where it's not included into this boundary. I think it should be just extended that little bit more until the car park.
So events, are you talking the annual circus?
Yeah, we got markets there, night markets, circus, things like that.
Car park. Which one?
Where the boat ramp is.
And about the pool.
So the events are generally, no, not that far.
We could invest in the swimming pool.
Generally, the events are right on that green space, just south of that border.
That point taken, councillor Nee?
I have to say, I think it's probably imperative to include the waterfront. I know we don't have a concrete plan for its revitalisation now, but I think it certainly has to be within the scope of it. It'll become the heart of the community in Gosford, I would hope. There's a couple of things I want to mention. I noticed that the area, which is that old broken down building on the other side of Perry Drive near Kibble Park, which I understand is being redeveloped, is not part of the area.
Market town.
Yeah. Whether, I know it's sort of, we've got Racket Creek happening here, but whether that should be considered depending on what they're doing there. What are they doing there, Luke?
Demolishing it.
But I assume they're building something after they
Oh,
demolish.
yeah, they could have broken.
Residential, is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
precinct.
Forget that.
Well, well, we do, because Kibble Park's right opposite them. So,
You already got Kibble Park, but.
yeah.
Anyway, I think that just needs to be thought about. I haven't really given sufficient thought for time. I've looked at it.
Good point if they're going to put nightclubs in there, for
So
example.
on the opposite side of Henry Parry Drive, so just opposite there, you've got Services New South Wales, you've got RIS, which is a youth service. They, if they're within the boundary of the special entertainment SEP, we're unlikely to get approval for it.
So you intentionally exclude. The other issue I think we should really think about is the ensuring we have CCTV in that whole area as part of our plan. I know that's not part of the set, but I think we should have that in our minds because obviously the security around Kibble Park has been a big issue, and we don't want, as soon as we start enhancing the area and realising having lack of safety set people off. But we need to think about keep it safe.
Any other questions? Councillor McGregor.
Forgive me if this has been covered and I missed it, but the section that goes out over the water, is that just so that it aligns with the sort of like little jetty thing past drifters up to the other end, or is there an intent to do something on that one part there?
I don't think there's an intent to do anything on it. It's meant to capture that area, is my understanding.
Each council can also easy.
Sorry?
The reason why I asked is because there used to be a little boat in there that had parties and dinners and things like that, and I'm confident that that little bit of that, it's either council or Crown Land or something, because someone tried to change it to Mariners Cove and they couldn't get it through the Geographic Names Board. So I was just curious if there was a plan for that, or if it's just, it's just the bit you're pointing to, the blue bits.
Oh, but it's in there, isn't it?
It's in the bay. It's in that.
It's part of the set.
You just walk, yeah.
But you see what they do opposite the Opera House and Government Quarry's chair there that they have floating stages. Maybe somebody thought of that, I don't know.
So it is to, some live responses here. So it is events that are fireworks that might happen on New Year's Eve.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And potentially for any future events that may be held on the water.
Yeah, and the second question, well, I got, sorry, two more questions. So these boundaries that you see, they look very similar to the old Gosford Council boundaries for the centre, for the CBD before they expanded further across. Is that sort of what we're working off or no? Okay. And the third question was, in the event that this is successful, would we look at doing that somewhere else apart from Gosford, maybe Terrigal or somewhere where there's a lot of activity? Yeah, that'd be good.
You need to, so the first phase gate is you need to have a trial of at least 12 months. Make sure it works before you have a step, then you would move on to location.
Entrance,
And,
logical one. So-
One other thing I just thought of, sorry, I did say I have three questions I'm going to do. Are we looking at activation for a particular demographic or just activation in general? Like, is there sort of a target for say youth or middle-aged people or elderly people, or we don't really care, we just want it activated?
We just want to activate.
Well, that presentation, I can't remember what meeting I was at with the nighttime economy commissioner, and they talked about the impact that these sites have around New South Wales. It was really good. I don't know if we can get any more information to share with the councillors, but some really good examples how they really transformed those areas, and they're all positive. But there were some really unique ones as well. So I don't know if we can track down.
We can, we certainly can. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
I just wanted to reiterate, it's a really good thing in my mind, but what Councillor Neal said, I think we can do better on security, making it safer. It's happened the last 18 months or so, but I do think that should be a huge focus on another side of it, to improve the security measures in these areas.
And I think once you see those case studies too, there has been social as well as an impact to the economy as well. So again, if you activate these spaces better and more effectively.
It almost straight away makes them safer when you activate it.
Part of the commissioner's remit is to make them safer. He's got this program of purple colour, whatever that means,
Purple ribbon.
purple ribbon, and that's part of it. Councillor
I
Smith.
think just on that point, it's really beneficial to have the police station located where it is. Are we confident the long-term station? Planning on staying there?
Oh, yeah. Probably a question for a different level of government.
Okay,
And I've heard absolutely nothing to the contrary.
okay, good.
Okay, got a recommendation there in front of you. Anybody look to move that? Deputy Mayor, seconded Councillor Neal. Okay, all those in favour? Unanimous. Filming on the Central Coast. Invite Melanie Smith, Director of Community and Recreation Services, to speak to the report.
Thank you, Chair. So I'll take the report as read. This is just an update on the progress, just to let you guys know the actions that we've taken so far since this was first presented to the committee, and the future actions taking to progress it.
Just looking at it.
Can I just ask, are the 59 locations listed somewhere publicly, or is that just an internal listing?
My understanding is they're on the website.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's good. Okay, thank you.
Are you happy with the website as it is at the moment? If they come from Screen New South Wales to that website, are we happy with the progress?
We're happy with the progress.
Okay.
We're not where we want to be yet, but we're happy with the progress.
Which website is it? Is it not out?
It's on the website with a link to it.
It is
So,
out?
yeah. We're progressing it. It's a work in progress.
Excellent. Any other questions?
I'm happy to report.
With the report, Deputy Mayor, seconded by councillor McQuaid. All those in favour? Unanimous, thank you. Update on airport master plan status. We did have a discussion about this. Yeah, see you later. We did have a rumble
I can't find it.
workshop. You sent the list to us. Councillor Smith can't find it.
You might come. I get.
Bill, did you want to set up?
Yeah.
Just back there where it's so far.
Just back to process issue. Mayor did arrive late. Do you have any conflict of interest? Middle conflicts for the mayor? Thank you. Hey, Bill.
Good evening, councillors. So this evening we're just providing the report that was put in front of you, an update on where we are tracking in relation to the resolutions of the adopted master plan from February, and also the action items 1 to 14. Of the resolutions that were passed, there were 9 resolutions. Currently, we have closed off 5 of those resolutions. Some of them were requiring no action. The ones that do remain open are that council authorises the project team to implement actions of the master plan from 1 to 14, proceeding to Gateway 1. Council seeks back a report of the completion of Gateway 1 for determination of next steps, and that a report on the finalisation and the progress of biodiversity stewardship is provided back to council within 12 months, and the MOU or in principle agreement with RFS and council. There is one slight change since the report was written, and that was after staff had a meeting with the Conservation Program Heritage and Regulation body, which sits in the Department of Climate. Sorry, I always seem to get this mixed up. It is Climate Change, Water and Energy, I believe. So we were possibly not going to go down the pathway of doing a planning pathway in regards to action item 7, which instructed us to prepare and lodge a planning proposal for rezoning of the airport lands and Porter's Creek. After discussions with the Program and Heritage Regulation, as well as with the Department of Climate Change, Water and Energy, it is now advised to council that we will pursue a planning proposal to rezone the airport land surrounding Porter's Creek wetland, Warnervale Business Park and Warnervale Link, and amend the LEP to include provisions for National Airport Safeguarding Framework, which is supported by a development control plan. The planning proposal will be prepared concurrently with the BCAR, and just for those of you who don't, for acronym purposes, that's the Biodiversity Assessment Report, and that's also to ensure that these two are run parallel to each other, so council can ensure it accesses the offsets that will be available by doing that process. So we probably need to make a change. That's the only change to one of the action items. Out of the 14, we have currently completed 4. Our expectation is that by June 2026, we will close off actions 4, 5, 8, 9 and 10. And 7, 11, 13 and 14 will be underway. And we are still sticking to the 18-month timeline that was provided at the February council meeting, that we will present a report back to council detailing available options, recommendations, whether or not to proceed to Gateway 2.
You're talking about the planning proposal. You talked about 3 different locations. I mean, Warnervale Business Park is a long way from the airport, and your other, I think you said Link, Warnervale Link. Is it better for us to do the 3 at once? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so the original action item that we have presented, the advice that we had put forward in relation to action item 7 was capturing those. And that was in particular around protecting the environmentally sensitive lands and support the ongoing operations of the airport. So we have quite a few different little zonings within the consolidated lot, which will be where the airport is. But then there's also some other ones as well. So I believe since we were actually doing that area, that was going to allow us to do so. And it is quite a large area in particular with the Porters Creek wetland. I'm sure we capture all of that under the Biodiversity Steward Agreement. And so therefore that was the proposal at the time, and that continues to be the proposal.
So the Watervale link, is that the road, missing link road you're talking about there from Watanabe to Sparks Road?
Uh,
Along the railway.
That's the proposal. But I think you said Watervale link. Is that what you said?
Yes, it is. This is why we're putting the action item. So yes. Can I go back before I make sure I give the correct answer on that one, Chair?
Totally, no problem. I hope it is the missing link, but that's fine. Councillor McGregor.
So you go. No, you go. You're a member of.
The legal advice that you saw that you mentioned, was that internal or external legal advice?
Through your chair to Councillor McGregor, that was external.
Okay. Who'd you get that from, if you're able to say?
Maddox.
Are they a local firm or?
They're a big Sydney firm.
Big Sydney firm.
Doing a lot of local government stuff. They're at the local government conference.
Okay, yeah, I didn't meet them. You know roughly how much that was paid for?
Not in front of me, no.
Okay, that's all right. The second question is, have you seen the media release that CEN had put out today?
No, I have not.
Okay, we got emailed a media release from CEN. I've put in the Power App a request for a response to it. You might come across that. There's a series of questions from them that they've raised.
Okay.
So I'd be curious to hear about that. And the last one is mention of vegetation management. Is that on council land or is that on the Bunnings site where the council was paying to cut the trees down previously?
Sorry, which one was that?
There's reference in the report to vegetation management. Is that on the council-owned land, or is that on another parcel of land? Because previously council had paid to cut down trees on Bunnings' site across the other side of the road.
That's correct. So
but the council had also done vegetation removal on the other side heading towards the wetland. So what vegetation are we talking about?
So for us to maintain a safe obstacle limitation surface, there may be areas on the opposite side of the main road of trees that are on other people's properties where we need to trim the top of the tree only to ensure that we're maintaining a particular takeoff distance and allowing for planes to be able to land at a particular angle and take off at a particular angle.
That's the ones on the other side of the road you're talking about.
Yes, they will be.
The wetland, it's on the other side, on the Bunnings side.
It could be on both sides to ensure that we maintain that OLS.
Have we thought there's other parties to pay for this, or are we just going to pay for it even though it's on their side?
We would probably need to pay for these because we are requesting to do that to ensure that we maintain that OLS. So we would need to pay for that.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Councillor Smith.
So sorry, just back to that legal advice. Why do we even seek legal advice trying to avoid planning proposal? Why do we do that?
There was a lot of technical stuff in relation to, we were trying to consolidate one lot. We're also making sure that when we do the subdivision and everything else that we're trying to do, because there is a coverage of a biodiversity stewardship, there is a coverage of the airport operating, and we wanted to make sure that we were doing everything that was legal and make sure that we were meeting all the requirements to be able to do, whether it's the subdivision, whether it's the rezoning, whether it's a consolidation, and therefore we were making sure that we were ticking all the boxes to make sure that what we put forward would be something that would be.
So what was the question that we were asking when we sought the legal advice?
I don't know, councillor, but I would have been able to tell them very easily, the master plan cannot act as a planning proposal. You need to do the formal rezoning process to do that. I was available. I just didn't ask me.
Can we get a copy of the legal advice, please? Can that let me know whether it is in there. Next question, who's on the project control group?
There is staff from the property development team. I believe there's a staff member from the EMU and a staff member from strategic planning, I believe.
you. Action 4, it talks about consultants finalising the B car with the intention of submitting by December now. So is that on track? Sorry, you might have said that. You might.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Action 12. Complete and submit biodiversity stewardship site assessment report. When did you say that was?
It's currently underway now. That's been handled by our EMU team. And in particular, someone who has a lot of background in particular with those biodiversity stewardship. That proposal, I believe, will take at least up to 12 months.
Right, just got to come on. The presentation that you provided to the councillor workshop about the motions that were rescinded, have we got a copy of that? Sorry, I haven't looked on the hub. Did we?
Should have been loaded up in.
No. Right. And that might be enough for now. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Oh, actually, no, another question. The
Councillor Smith.
four reports that have been reported in the media about the economics that council refused to release, but I think has now been, they've been instructed to release those reports. Sorry, can I just check with the staff? Yeah.
That'd have to be a question for the governance team. I was not involved in that process.
Do you know the answer to that question?
Sorry, I'd have to take that on notice.
Councillor Neil, do you know the answer to that question? I'll come back to you.
I understand they weren't actually told to release it. They were told to more closely examine their decision to release it or otherwise.
I thought there was another update on that, but anyway, I'll have a look. Yeah.
Deputy Mayor.
I don't know. Quick question to Councillor McGregor. That email come to all councillors?
Oh, which one?
Oh, the one.
You're not on the list.
Okay. Oh, no, I'm just wondering if it didn't come through. That's all. I'm just wondering if it was.
I don't know. It's sent blind copies.
Yeah.
I've received it in copies from CEN at Tuesday, 14/17. I'll forward it to you now if you want.
No, that thanks.
Okay, any other questions? No more questions. Councillor Smith, any more questions?
No, not directly related to that, but.
It needs to be directly related to it. Okay, we'll call the end to that. So we've got a recommendation, mover of the recommendation. Councillor Deputy Mayor.
Go ahead.
Seconded by Councillor McQuaid. All those in favour? Okay, got somebody not voting. So Councillor McQuaid, the Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Councillor McNamara, Councillor Neal. Other two members, no vote.
Against.
You want to show against? Against?
Yeah, I'll be against.
Okay. We now have Councillor McGregor and Councillor Smith as against.
I hate for somebody to Google.
I declare the motion carried. Okay, close of meeting at 6:03 PM. Well done, everybody.
Staff for everyone.
Quick meetings.
I have a question. Did we ever get that summary of the issues about the air show?
Did a presentation on that, didn't we?
Yeah, no, there was a question to get a summary.